I was given a very challenging task by Ashish to present various different digital innovations that will be impacting our lives by 2025. And predicting the future is always a very hard job. But in 1970s, Future Shock. I'm not sure how many of you have read the book, but when I was working in the 90s, I see a few people's hands go up, it really changed my approach to innovation with a view to planning what should be there in the future. Because if I was to say to you, will this in the future? Because if I was to say to you, will this car crash into the wall? Tell me the answer. Can you predict the future? And the first thing you would say is, well, I don't have enough information. How far is the car away from the wall? So I tell you, it's 100 meters. Crash into the wall. And you will say, I don't have enough information. Some people would say, yes, of course, it's so close, it's going to crash. Other people would say, no, the car might be parked. It's not going to crash. Then I give you some more information, and I say it's running along at 110 kilometers per hour. And you go, ooh, no. In fact, 46 meters is probably the thinking distance, about 60 to 70 meters is the stopping distance, so probably, yes, it will crash into the wall. But what have we learned from this example? The key thing we've learned from this example is you need to know the trends in order to predict the future. But there are two types of trends. That's what this book really goes into, which is very, very interesting. There are inevitable trends and non-inevitable trends. If we know the birth rate today, we can predict the future with some great certainty about how many school places we need 20 years from now. 20 years from now. Imagine that, predicting your educational capacity 20 years from now. But it's an inevitable trend that these people will grow up and need to go to school. So predicting the future actually is not hard if you know. So trying to think about trends, I want to explain to you a vision, a way of understanding the technological revolution that we're in, and I want to put it in context for you. Because we've seen revolutions before. The communications revolution started a long time ago with the Atlantic Telegraph. The communications revolution started a long time ago with the Atlantic Telegraph. Hundreds of years ago with the first message across the North Atlantic. And today we're still seeing the effects of the communications revolution, but it's changed everything, as all revolutions do. But the communications revolution wasn't we've heard of that before, that came later. In fact, some people, put it the Apple II. When was that? 1977. And we saw the birth of personal digital computing and the current IT revolution that we know today. It's changed everything. And of course, when you put things together, when you actually... And this is one of the topics that I want to really set the foundations for today. Innovation quite often happens at the edge of revolutions, at the edge of technology areas, and where they cross over into new areas. That's where innovation happens. Innovation is born edge, where it touches other areas. This is the key thing about innovation. Take the iPhone or the new smartphones, Android phones, all came about with the convergence of this communications revolution and computing revolution, and those innovations again changed everything. But the third big revolution that's happening, that we've heard about already today, is artificial intelligence. And these are overlapping, which means we're going to get even more innovation and even more change powering things through. But when you look at the timescales of these revolutions, first AI to really work on image recognition reliably, ImageNet, is 2009. That's just 11 years ago. In 2011, IBM's Watson won a TV quiz show called Jeopardy, which was amazing, better than any human being, and then AlphaGo in 2016. Better than any human being, and then AlphaGo in 2016. Today, we actually have ubiquitous AI. It's everywhere. You might not understand why you're using it today, but really it's everywhere. In fact, this exponential growth of all three revolutions is being driven by three key things. that are all exploding. The first one is sensors. Sensors, IoT, everything is getting measured, is creating the data that we need to drive machine learning and artificial intelligence. But it needs to be communicated through communications networks. And these are getting increasingly more powerful in data centers. And you put these three things together, and they're accelerating everything to the point where today we actually have narrow AI pretty much everywhere that we can go. I have a little voice assistant I brought with me today, but it's involved in language translation, natural search, surveillance, social feeds you're seeing on your Facebook pages, the way you type into Google and it automatically knows what you might want to be searching for is all based on this kind of explosive technology. So my job that they gave me to do was to say, okay, where will we be in 2025? Okay, where will we be in 2025? And hopefully, I won't be right, but hopefully I'll give you some insights so that you can see what's driving it, how things are changing, what the trends are, so you can see where the car is going to be in 5 years' time. The first area I want to talk about, many times today we're busy typing on keyboards and reading screens. That's not that much different from the way we used to interface with IT back in the mainframe days. Okay, we have mice now, we have touch screens, who uses those? But actually this is all changing. I mean, today we can see the seeds of this growth. On my wrist, we can see the seeds of this growth. On my wrist are sensors that measure my heartbeat, my steps, the temperature, lots and lots of sensors generating data. In the home, there's already robots. I don't know how many of you in this room have a robot at home that sweeps the floor for you. Okay, but this is today. We're going to look at this a little bit. How many people have used websites where you chat and a bot actually answers your call, but it's just text? It's happening today. Yes, it's happening today. And as I said, my friend down here, which is called She That Shall Not Be Named, or She'll Wake Up, is a voice assistant. This is all today. Are going to change. They're not just going to be sweeping the floor. They're going to be actually using their sensors to figure out what to do. And I'll show you some stuff later about this. And doing real service. Here is a little bot providing a hot water bottle to someone with a cold. Now, the question is, did you have to ask or program, or did it learn? Did it have to be told you had a cold, or did it sense you had a cold? You see the way all these things are coming together. Here's a bot. I don't think this one exists. It's a kind of like fictitious bot doing your ironing. Now, everyone's asked me why I've kept my jacket on. Doing your ironing. Now, everyone's asked me why I've kept my jacket on today. We won't talk about ironing in my house, but I would love a bot that did my ironing. Is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. Why would we have to do the ironing when it could be automated? And you might say, oh, that would be a very expensive bot, goes and do that. But, and the sensors and the equipment are coming down, the intelligence and the data in the cloud are all together, the learning mechanisms are all there. That's what I'm going to try and show you today. In fact, one thing I want to start with is, who knows this website, thispersondoesnotexist.com? Okay, yeah, I would expect you to know. Okay, yeah, I would expect you to know. Okay, if you don't know it, it's a web page, a very simple web page. You just go to this page, and and you will see something like this lady. It's called thispersondoesnotexist.com. But it's powered by an AI that generates photorealistic faces. And every time the page is refreshed, it generates a new face. Now, the reason I'm showing you this today is because the resolution on this screen is not brilliant, but if you were to look at this photo, you are fooled. It's almost impossible to know that's not a real person. Now, as I was preparing for this, I went to the website and I just hit refresh. It's great fun. And then this guy came up. He's amazing. I mean, I trust him. He's a banker, probably a financial advisor, probably lives in London based on the background. Probably lives in London based on the background. Probably about 48. Yeah. Then this lady came up. And then this lady came up. Very, very different faces. But how would you ever know they were not real? the AI. And the refresh time on the page is about 3 or 4 seconds. All ages, all ethnicities. How can it do this? How can it possibly do this? How can it come up with a unique person every time I refresh the page? This one really got me. Every time I refresh the page. This one really got me. I thought, if I'm going to choose a face for my digital assistant, he'll keep me straight. And this guy will educate me. And this guy, I don't know, but he's nice. The point here is this takes about 3 or 4 seconds to generate a face that cannot be distinguished from reality. I dare you. How is it done? Well, in 2014, there was a new algorithm in the AI community called GAN, or General Adversarial Network. And what the AI is doing is we learn about how face recognition works. This is a face, this is a cat, this is a boat, this is a tree. But inside, it kind of knows what a face is, a real face. Then you generate a face, and you say, is that a real face? And you say, is that a real face? And you adversarially improve your generation until it closely matches what you know a face is. And it gets better and better and better and better. Did you know that cloud computing today could scan all the faces of everyone in the world in under 10 seconds? It's possible. But if we're to do this looking forward, we can see the trends, we know where it's going. Video is not one picture when you refresh the page every 4 seconds. It's 10 to 30 frames a second. So where are we going with that one? 10 to 30 frames a second. So where are we going with that one? You know, this guy, I'm not sure if he looks a bit uncanny. The other pictures I showed you are totally human and believable. But he's got something to say about whether he looks a little bit uncanny.
Hey guys, I don't know what all the fuss is about with this whole uncanny valley thing. I mean, really, like, what's the big deal, eh? This is a fully digital version of me. Yeah? Want to learn more? Check out the story on FX Guides where you look at what's happening in the world of digital humans with InScreen. Hi, this is Digital Nick, kind of the successor to me, Mike. This is me driving this digital character UE4 thanks to a sonar rig from 3Lateral that's reading my expressions, feeding into a 3Lateral facial rig inside UE4. Plus I have on an XN suit to get my body. Now this is great, we love it, but as much fun as I am sitting here at the Motors Lab in Sydney, I can take this to the next level thanks to our friends at InScreen. This is digital Michael. Now Michael is fully driven by digital Mick. So just to be clear about this, Mike Seymour is driving digital Mick, and Mick is driving Michael. And Michael reaches the level of realism.
This one is not so good.
Because it's a generative adversarial.
This one is better.
In fact, it's the pagan truth.
This one is based on the real guy.
Me to produce this incredibly realistic, lifelike version of me and control it. I think it's an extraordinary technology that's really going to be a game changer. I hope you agree.
Where it's not quite perfect, so you're not comfortable with it. But as we have seen, all that we need is 30 frames a second, and we have realistic, indistinguishable video of people. But that's not all that we're going to be doing in this revolution. I wanted to talk a little bit about machine translation and global understanding. We all watched the show Star Trek, right, where they spoke to aliens, and they all understood each other because they had the universal translator, right? Gene Roddenberry predicted that back in the 60s. Somehow, taking alien languages, converting it to us, and without earpieces, somehow everyone understood each other in real time with no delays, zero latency, and a high success rate. At least I don't know of any Star Trek episode that was based on the universal translator going wrong, but maybe I'm not there. There's 6,500 different spoken languages on the Earth, and after Google Translate, we've got it as an app. You can talk into it, it talks back, it even speaks in different languages. We even have in Huawei the ability to speak and then have an avatar on your phone sign for deaf people. Imagine how revolutionary that is, that everyone on the planet can now speak to people, deaf people, in their native sign language without having to learn it. When eBay placed automatic translation on their site, their commerce jumped. I don't know the full stats. I was looking for it up again, but I remember it. It was a huge jump in I was looking for it up again, but I remember it. It was a huge jump in availability of product throughout the world, simply because every product page, everything on the website was immediately available in nearly every language of the world. So we know we can do speech translation. So where will we be? We've all been on Zoom calls in this COVID crisis. So where will we be? We've all been on Zoom calls in this COVID crisis. Can you imagine sitting around a conference table with 9 people all speaking different languages and having their avatar be visually expressive, exactly the same as they are, but the words coming out of my mouth, c'est pas anglais, c'est français, automatically over the network? This is going to happen almost without any doubt whatsoever. As certain as my Zoom backgrounds are a little bit fuzzy, this is going to happen and it's going to work. Now, robots. People worry about robots. But let me just give you some examples. I'll show you the Hoover in some examples. I'll show you the Hoover in a little bit more detail. But the Hoover I have at home, it's pretty dumb. It just bounces around the walls and randomly picks up dirt. This one's intelligent. Let me show you the demo. Let me show you the demo. Then it figures out the most efficient way to hoover, not just randomly going around, but working out the routes. It even learns where most of the dirt accumulates. It goes to hotspots to pick it up. And it's got sensors. It knows when it's full, it knows what its battery charge is like, it knows when there are people around the house every month, once a month. Control it through the cloud. It's a few $100. But the marketing here is not about the robot anymore. It's about the intelligence behind it. Now let me show you something else that's happening in China regarding COVID. How they've been dealing with the COVID crisis using autonomous vehicles and robots. I don't know in the quarantine here how the meal delivery works, but if you're in China or in a Chinese hospital, it's quite possible that your meals will be delivered autonomously from kitchens out to hospitals on the roads. It saves people going out. There are many other ways that we can prevent human contact or provide better service using these kind of robots. These are fully autonomous, they learn their way around, they avoid people, they even cook the dinner. They're here cooking the Chinese food. They will even scan faces in airports and spot people that don't have masks on. They will understand your temperature. They work 24 hours a day, fresh food. Soon they will know when you're hungry, when you're walking up, they'll prepare your favorite. You see, the value of these bots, the value of these workers is so good that cleaning a hospital, you can make sure it's 100% clean all the time, instead of doing it all manually. It can just be time. Instead of doing it all manually, it can just be done automatically and more efficiently. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's think about your life, what you do. Have you ever been researching a topic like I was doing for this keynote? And you spent a lot of time just searching for that right video or that right bit of information, that fact. In fact, preparation is really high, and then the productivity, is a bit low. We're always preparing for things. We're always getting ready for things. And this is why AI, instead of us having to go and look for the information should be coming to us. 21% of all online transactional time is wasted. And think about every time you do a Google search, the data center that has to run that search, and it's not what you want exactly, or you do it again. But there's lots of this information, finding the right product, trying to compare the beds to anything you want to buy online, booking flights. How many times have you tried to figure out what the right flight schedule is? It just takes far longer than actually booking it. But one really big thing is maintenance. I used to be in the aviation industry, and aviation maintenance is all about inspections. Building maintenance is all about inspections. I actually had a friend of mine that was a helicopter pilot, and he used to fly every week along the power lines just to inspect them. These things should be monitoring themselves and telling us, just a light switch even. But the one I like the most is passwords. Oh, I hate the amount of time we spend trying to remember our passwords. You see, in a world where the information comes to you, your environment through the sensors can now know what you are. The public bins they call to be emptied. The oven, I love this. A smart oven is not just an oven that you can turn on remotely. A smart oven is something that knows when you put a chicken in, it's a chicken, and it knows how to cook it. It should recognize the chicken. And if you use your oven in a certain way, when there's a chicken in there, it can learn how to cook a chicken. How many times have you showed your oven how to cook a chicken? Dumb thing. It never learns. It's changing. Your home will adjust to your gestures and your mood. You'll just wave and the TV will go off. You'll frown and some good music will come on. The restaurants you book will be the ones where your friends automatically are, or people, or not. And we won't have to use our thumbs all the time. Technology will be more aware. The data you produce needs to be used to benefit you. And the link on that is your artificial assistant, your intelligent assistant, into services that you want, that you can do, the sensors that understand exactly what you want. We move from information systems to intelligence systems, all around our interaction with technology. Just to give you some more examples. Up here, we have some smart lighting. We have some smart lighting. This is actually deployed in a car park in the UK. When a car drives in, the lights go from 20% up to 100%. And when there's no more movement, they go down again. Now that's pretty straightforward. You say it's just a movement sensor. The airplane up here is being inspected in around the airplane, looking in places where the pilot could never look, and spot things and understand the maintenance requirements of that airplane. The power lines, my favorite one at the bottom, especially designed drone that covers not only infrared, but EM measurements, but also high-resolution cameras, basically taking the inspector to the pilot without having to get in a helicopter and fly low level in all weather. It's amazing the way these drones combined with cloud are used today to inspect things. Now, the next subject I want to touch on is our perception of reality. You know, basically, we're not very good at perceiving reality. Owls have tubes in their eyes and can see like binoculars. They can't see up close, but they can see not miles, but they can see like owls do. But they have binoculars for eyes. Reindeer see ultraviolet light. Snakes can see infrared light. Dogs can smell 40 times better than humans and navigate huge distances by just following the smells. Many insects and birds can see all around them at the same time. Wouldn't that be useful if you were driving and can actually see circular polarized light, believe it or not? There are many limitations to our senses. If we combine our senses with the intelligence in the cloud and our sensors, we can go beyond distance. We can see underneath the surface of things. We can see through fog, through night, through the surface of things. We can see through fog, through night, through rain. We can even maybe see beyond time, where we can see how things are going to grow, how things are going to change, or backwards in time to how things were before they decayed. We could even change the way we feel when you're feeling later on. In fact, why don't we just roll that video now?
When I sit down at a console I get into the zone. I'm one with the patient almost. It's like a dance, and it's so precise. It's an incredible feeling to get robotic surgery.
Robotic surgery is a very complex laparoscopic surgery. The best way to describe that is there's a computer in between the physician and the patient.
The care we're providing, the hernia techniques we are performing here is like no other.
It immerses them inside the body. The high definition in 3D, they can see structures and vessels and nerves that you can't see with the naked eye. Robotics is allowed our physicians to offer our patients. Robotics is allowed our physicians to offer our patients a better chance.
That's right, I cut the video there to save time. It's not a bug. But AR and VR is not just about gaming. Now, if that robotic surgery or remote surgery freaks you out and you think, how can they possibly do that? Surgery freaks you out and you think, how can they possibly do that? I just remind you, when you're moving your mouse or you're steering wheel in a car, you don't really think about how difficult that is. You know, the mouse, the pointer is your hand, right? You don't even think about it. It's an extension of your ability. If you zoom in and you can get that pointer in a more precise place, it's natural. And this extends the capabilities of these surgeons through this sort of tooling. But these senses are actually better than humans. We talked about beyond distortion, being able to see through rain and fog. As a pilot once, being able to see through rain and fog. As a pilot once, I loved the ability to actually have a synthetic display in front of me where I could see the terrain, even the
when I sit down at the console,
but
I get into the zone.
Driving isn't going to work.
I'm one with the patient.
How will it see in the rain? Or
it's like a dance. It's so precise.
It will have better sensors than you, and it will drive just as well as you.
You know that the
It's
robot
the exact opposite.
can augment
If
and
the
amplify
visibility is
my
bad,
natural abilities.
That's the time. You know, we
It's
can
an
do so
incredible
much
feeling to
solve
be a
traffic
robotic
problems.
surgeon.
And a lot of this is actually proven already. Traffic
Robotic
causes
surgery
pollution.
is a
It
very
wastes
complex
time.
laparoscopic
Smart
surgery.
streetlights
The best
even
way to describe that is there's a
can be
computer in
coordinated
between the
with
physician
traffic
and the
demands
patient.
to keep the traffic
care we're
flowing.
providing,
15%
the
of
hernia
traffic
techniques we
demands
are
to keep
performing here
keep the
is like
traffic
no
flowing.
other.
15%
It
time
immerses
savings
them
in smart
inside the body.
streetlights,
The
and
high
50 to
definition in
60%
3D, they
improvement
can
in
see
throughput.
structures
Smart
and vessels
parking. You don't
and
want to look
nerves
for the parking.
that you can't
In
see
fact,
with the
even
naked
today,
eye.
intelligent
Robotics
transport is
has
already being
allowed
used.
our physicians to
Why would you build an
offer our
emergency
patients
lane down the
a
motorway
better chance.
and then not, if when there's an emergency situation, the emergency lane just appears and the emergency services get there. If you don't believe me about autonomous driving, I'm going to just show you a quick demo of this car on autopilot in the real world. Now this is the visualization. This is the visualization that the car is seeing. It's seeing cars on the left, cars on the right. The speed is only 7 miles per hour. It's going. The video is fast forward. He's not going that fast. He stopped for a pedestrian. The car stopped because a pedestrian was walking around. And now it avoided the little thing in the middle, the road in the middle, and it's doing a nice right turn, speeding along. Stopped at a red light. Recognized the red light, stopped, it changed to green, went again. Carrying on around the corners, doing good lane keeping. What's coming up next? A stop sign, a red light. Okay, we stopped for the red light. This one, got to wait for it to turn green. It's going down the road, good lane keeping. It's aware of everything around it, absolutely everything around it, sticking to the speed limit. Now watch what happens next. I think this is quite cool. Well, pulls out in front of him, but he stops, turns right, observes all the traffic at that four-way junction safely. A stop sign means you have to stop and look. Carried on, obeyed the stop sign. It's driving better than a human being. And just like that facial generation, it's getting better and better all the time. Now, there's a really interesting part here, and then I'm going to cut the video. Really interesting part here, and then I'm going to cut the video. Go faster. He's nearly there. Okay, next stoplight. is red. But in America, you're allowed to go right on red. So you look out, and yes, he hasn't run a red light. He's allowed to go right. It's getting better than human driving, more safe than human driving. And to do that, we have to monitor or connect many things, pedestrians, roads, junction performance, traffic lights, and manage many things. But we can certainly solve the congestion problem. And not just that, but the vehicles that will be part of this network, changing the way we are transported, will not just be on the ground, they'll be in the air. There's another great revolution coming for eVTOL aircraft, as air taxis and as transportation infrastructure. We don't need to build more roads and railways if we can use the air. I just want to finish now on a few things. First, creativity. People said that AI will never stop people being creative. AI will never be creative. But my experience is that AI helps you with your creativity, and I want to explain that. I've got a lovely video here about an exercise that Huawei with AI.
The AI then created the melody for the third and fourth movements. We worked with Emmy Award-winning composer Lucas Cantor, whose role was to draw out good ideas from the AI and fill in the gaps where necessary.
The instrument guitar up until the digital audio workstation, I think AI can only be helpful. It's like having a collaborator sitting right next to you who never gets tired, who never runs out of ideas, who never has an attitude of any kind. It just is there to work and it's there to help.
It's taken 6 months to get to this point. It's taken 6 months to get to this point. And the results are incredible.
Let me read you a text message I got last night. She said, "What are you doing?" I just wrote back, "I got commissioned to finish Schubert's Unfinished Symphony with the help of an AI neural network running on a smartphone, and I fly to London for the premiere on Tuesday." And she wrote back, "That is the coolest sentence I've ever read."
It's amazing the way AI can be used to enhance our creativity.
In Huawei, we are always searching how we can bring technologies to make the world a better place for people.
Is that
we strongly
believe
combine the artificial intelligence and the human expertise. We can help to push the boundaries of what
when we're
is
doing
human
pharmaceutical
Last
research, for
year,
example,
we taught our
there's a
AI
lot
to
of
drive
trial
a
and error,
car,
a lot of
translate with
experimentation. The
love
ROI
songs into a piece of
pharmaceutical
music,
research is only 3%,
and use it
but they
to
charge so
open
much
up
for
the
the
world
drugs.
of books
So much trial and
to
error.
deaf children and
I'm
their
not an
parents.
artist, but
This
even
year,
I,
we
in my
learned
personal life,
to set ourselves
I
a new
use
challenge.
AI.
We decided to
Send
teach our
photographs.
smartphone to complete Schubert's Unfinished Symphony.
These are all
First, we created an AI
My
learning
creation.
model on
My
the Huawei
creation.
Mate 20 Pro.
right.
We use
You
that
can
to
say they're good,
analyze
you
the
can say they're
existing
bad.
first and second movements of Schubert's symphony.
But
The
you know,
AI then
art,
created the melody
You've got the masters,
for the third
and you've got the
and
mass
fourth
market
movement.
stuff that you.
We
you've
worked
got
with
the
Emmy
masters,
Award-winning
and you've got
composer
the mass
Lucas
market
Cantor,
stuff that you
whose
buy
role
from
was to draw out the good ideas from the AI and
least
fill
the
in the
things I
gaps
do
where
in my own.
necessary.
And I like
The
that.
intersection of music and technology
Well, I'm not
has
an
given
artist,
us
but I have
modern
that
music, from the electric guitar up
creativity I
until
want
the
to get
digital
out.
audio workstation.
So I use
I think AI can only be helpful. It's like having a collaborator
pharmaceuticals
sitting right next to you who
to
never gets tired,
research
who never
can
runs out of
inhibit our
ideas,
productivity.
who never has an attitude of
But
any
AI
kind.
can
It just is
also
there to
be
work and it's
used
there to
in
help.
the creative arts to protect IP. You know that
It's taken
YouTube
6 months
automatically
to get to
spots
this
music
point.
owned by other people.
And the results
We need
are
to
incredible.
fact check Twitter posts. This can be done automatically. This can be done automatically. Right? And it feeds the But AI can help you write TV scripts, movies, help you get the story structure out of the human soul.
I'm collaborating with a non-human intelligence
bring more
that is
out
channeling
of
the intelligence
the
of a
human
dead
soul.
human.
And I
that's
haven't got time
profound.
to go into all the subjects. I wanted to go into today. I wanted to go into productivity, factories, farming, right? But we don't have to be scared of the dangerous, repetitive, lacking precision labor that sometimes we as humans have. If we can free up the human spirit to be truly what we are, human, and not slaves to pick tomatoes in a field, then we can increase the prosperity of the whole economy and we can give people better quality lives. You know, this is happening as sure as the car. 2025, we think that 470 million homes will have domestic robots of some sort. I've shown you can buy them cheap already. The World Health Organization estimates that by 2030 there's a global shortage of healthcare workers of 9 million. My mother-in-law can't get out of bed, and she has a healthcare worker visit her for 2 hours a day. I want one there 24 hours, 24/7, monitoring her, taking care of her, alerting the emergency services if something goes wrong. All of this is possible in emergency services if something goes wrong. All of this is possible in our society today. If our home domestic robots speak 5 different languages, I'll tell you something, our kids will grow up learning and understanding 5 different languages. It doesn't have to be your mum and your dad that speaks a language for you to learn. And our kids will be interacting with the bots and learning Italian. Butler bots are predicted to be a 9 billion market by 2025. So where did I get these statistics from? Well, Huawei does a lot of research, and we publish something, mostly annually, called our Global Industry Vision. Touches a lot of these points. And I want to dip into that white paper for you a little bit and show you some of the predictions that have come out through a very, very clear and precise methodology for 2025. 14% of global homes will have intelligent domestic. We covered that. 337 million people and over 10% of all companies will be using AR and VR in one way or another by 2025. And these aren't guesses. These are calculated based on the velocity and the distance and the trends that we know are happening in the industry. Individuals will use smart assistants. Why do you think people will do that? Because it's much easier than using a thumbs, and it's getting better all the time. Alexa, what time is it?
It's midday.
Oh, okay, I'm not late then. Okay, the roads, 15% of vehicles on the roads will have connected vehicle to everything technologies. And remember, you don't need all the vehicles connected to get that traffic vision that I talked about, because you can monitor them, you can see them. 103 physical robots for every 10,000 human employees in manufacturing. Not getting rid of them necessarily, but changing the work we do as human beings. 97% of them necessarily, but changing the work we do as human beings. 97% of large companies will be making use of AI. And 100 billion connected devices in use, generating all of this data. And our prediction at Huawei is that 86% of all from all the things around you will be used for you. Will be used to make your life better. That's why Huawei believe in a connected, intelligent world. So, let's work together on the summit, and thank you very much for listening. Alexa.
Okay.
That's me done. Thank you.